kinds of commentaries only make sense if you don't think about it. So if someone has lived in this area all of their life, if their life has been feeding themselves and other people, and we came to where they live, if anyone would have a problem finding something to eat, who would it be? It would not be the people who live there. Right, right. So to have a narrative that says that these men and women were burdens, in fact, they weren't even referred to as people, they were referred to as contraband. And so what occurred to these men and women at Ebenezer Creek was described as a difficult choice. General Jefferson Davis, in response to the outrage over what happened, said it was a difficult choice. The Confederate Army was at our heels. It had been raining, the creek swollen. I've got to get thousands of troops across, and it's an awful thing. I just made a bad decision. Yeah. And so what we want the story to include, or the way we want it to read accurately, which is that these human beings, these men and women who had been in chains, held captive, saw an opportunity to escape. And they knew that the people, this Union Army, even though they were at war, white folks were at war with white folks. Black folks understood that they were not fighting for black people. But they also knew that unless they took that opportunity, what was the alternative? And so the way these human beings attempted to make themselves valuable to these folks that they know personally had no feelings for them. Men like me, like you, like you, like you, like you, like you. They called us pioneers because our job was to go ahead of the troops, cut down trees, reinforce the road. This is sandy soil, it's a forest. How do you get thousands of troops through a forest? How do you get thousands of troops along the side? Right, so you must have somebody that makes the way for you. And so that's a role that we undertook, to make the way for this army. Not because we loved the army, but because we knew that our mothers, our children, our wives, our sisters, that was a source of security for them. And so when we did what we had to do in order that that army might make it to Savannah, can you imagine what it felt like to discover that your mother, father, children, wife, sisters have been left, and they've either drowned or been slaughtered? What must that have felt like? So when the story is told about the meeting with Stanton and Sherman and these black leaders, that part is left out.
Completely.
That there was such an outrage over what occurred, not just from black people, members of Davis's army. Major Kerr said, he sat on his horse, and what he saw, he hoped his eyes would never see again. And his officers were so outraged that they wrote home, they wrote their wives, they wrote the newspaper, and so there was this huge outcry. Imagine, at the height of a war, the Secretary of War and the General of the Army decided they want to meet with contraband. Something happened. And so in this conversation with these men, these sons, these fathers, these brothers, there's a number of questions that they asked them. And one of the questions was, do you want to stay with the white people, or do you want to be by yourself? And the answer was, we want to be by ourselves, and we want land. And someone asked, then do you feel that you can take care of yourself? And the answer from these men was, we have taken care of you and ourselves. If we don't have to take care of you, we're pretty sure that we can take care of ourselves. And so this is part of our commemoration. And just sharing this bread and water together means that we in some sense are connected to and acknowledge what transpired there. So what these men and women probably had to drink was water, probably from the creek. We're not going to drink the water from the creek. and some hard bread. So we have some of that. So let's do this together. Let's eat together and drink together. And we do this in memory of our ancestors. The next thing we're about to do speaks to the purpose. Why did these men and women take these risks?